Hey, Jai. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Hey Jai, brought to you by IMS Productions, YouTube channel IMS Studios, Instagram IMS Productions 2023. Welcome back, guys. It's been a while since I've done a solo video, a Hey Jai video. I know last video I did was Hey Jai from the couch. I've also been doing some cool things with these new IMS partners, CL Smooth, on CL Smooth Gaming, called Nerdology. Check that out every Monday on Twitch and YouTube live streaming. It's basically your anything nerd podcast, movies, shows, video games, all that good stuff. Star Wars, anime, whatever you, DC, Marvel, whatever you're into, we got it. And then I've also been doing the Just in Time Sports After Darks podcast. You can check that out on Just in Time Sports YouTube channel, Just in Time Sports podcast YouTube channel rather, with my guy Just in Time Sports. Just your unfiltered, uh, definitely not PG adult sports show. Just kind of going into topics every week of what we got going on in sports. But it's not what you're here for. You're here for AJ. And so it feels good to be doing this again. Man, did I pick a great week to come out with a video again, or I guess news filled week. Um, and this was actually last couple of weeks. September has definitely been, I should say, newsworthy. Definitely had a lot of headlines going in. So I'm not going to keep y'all waiting too much longer. So normally I start off with a theme of what the episode is going to be about. I don't just like covering current events. I like trying to find like somewhat of a deeper meaning behind it, of things that I've seen, questions that might have come to mind, some kind of holistic view or theme of it. And I'm going to start off with the biggest topic, I guess, in the entertainment space, the pop culture space, and then I'm going to use that to kind of frame the theme. So, um, the P Diddy Freako. So right now, I want to say September 20th. By the time this comes out, if not, it should come out on September 21st. That's production stuff. At this point, earlier this week, Sean P. Diddy Combs has been arrested and indicted by the federal court, um, essentially by the feds in New York. He's currently being held in a prison in Brooklyn. At this point, we've learned he's been denied bail twice. He's on suicide watch, and he's been indicted on counts of racketeering, sex trafficking, kidnapping. The racketeering charges, they include drugs, coercion, sexual coercion. Sex trafficking goes into a part of the racketeering. Racketeering is just a criminal enterprise. And arson. I remember we talked about how he blew a kick at his car. That was crazy. But I'm gonna have the charges listed on the video, so don't have to worry about that. Right now we're just chatting. Man, that is it's some sick stuff. I was born in '98, so all through the 2000s, I knew the music that came with Bad Boy. I knew the music that even came before that. Mace, Biggie, 112, Jodeci. When I started listening to hip hop, P.D. was already a rapper, not just super producer. But they had the Mary J. Blige, had Sean John. He was facing Ciroc. I mean, it's P Diddy. You know who P Diddy is. He's been in movies. He's been in shows. He had Revolt TV, um, high profile relationships, things like that. And so we kind of caught wind of this as a public. I would say the majority of the public, rather, about a year ago. Actually, it's coming up about a year ago to the date. So in November of 2023, Cassie came out and filed a $30 million lawsuit against Diddy, alleging long history of domestic abuse, um, sexual assault. like I said, just violence against her, heinous acts against her, and that kind of put everybody on notice. Like, oh wow, Diddy can be kind of sick. Now, he's had allegations and sick things against him before, and every allegation against a famous person, doesn't necessarily always hold water. But the reason that this one was so significant was because it was Cassie. Cassie was Diddy's longtime girlfriend. Like I said, like whenever I really started getting into hip hop in the 2000s, I knew Diddy was with Cassie. I knew Cassie, she was Diddy, et cetera, right? However you want to frame it. So that was like his girl up until like 2016, 17, you know. Um, yeah, and that's just for Cassie to come out and say those things. Everybody's like, well, they had some cause for pause. But of course, if you don't know, there's plausible deniability. So then months later, in around February, Diddy settled the case in 24 hours, right? Somebody sued you for $30 million, and then y'all decide to settle out of court, and that's 24 hours later. You didn't want something to come out, even if it wasn't that. So, red flag number one, or red flag number two, rather. And then red flag number three came out a few months later when the video of an incident in 2016 of Diddy assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway. And he was throwing her around. Now, Cassie isn't a big girl. You shouldn't put your hands on anybody. If you're a man, you shouldn't put your hands on a woman for sure. But just the size difference, like Cassie is small, right? She looks small, like she looks thin. And he was just throwing her around like a rag doll. He was kicking her in the head. He was hitting her with a vase. It was just, it was uncomfortable to watch. And that kind of outlined everything that she said regarding that particular incident, because that was just one of the many incidents that she listed in her suit whenever that was released. It was lined up exactly of what happened in the video. So at that point, everybody was kind of holding breath, waiting on P. Diddy's downfall. Of course, there are jokes in the between time about Diddy and other high profile people. Diddy and Meek Mill, they was calling him Freak Mill. Diddy and TD Jakes. Diddy and TD Jakes. I might insert that clip, that swallowed up clip in here. But yeah.
Would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up?
Several interviews, a former security guard on several interviews, just like, man, this dude is a monster. Learning a lot more about what happened with the Shine case. Shine is a rapper. He's pretty much, I guess his shtick was him being famous for sounding a lot like Biggie, especially after Biggie passed. But Shine is now the prime minister of Belize. And he sat down in jail for 9 years behind, if you look at it, the shooting that really should have gone to P. Diddy. He had an incident with Kid Cudi where he blew up his car. So it was so many things that were just kind of like whispers and, talked about things they were talked about. It was just kind of like, man, this dude is sick. But none of them really stuck because he was popping. He was the man at the time. He was in front of everybody's face. And again, this is also before the social media age where public opinion was so loud. It was so visible. It was so trendy, right? Where everybody can get their public opinion off. So fast forward to Tuesday of this week, by the time this video comes out. Find out that he's indicted on federal charges. By Friday, we learned that he's been denied bail twice. And they released the outlines of the bail stipulations, surrendering all passports, surrendering all contact, and it's $50 million bail. They do not want him to go home. And the reasons behind it was, hey, you have a bad habit of intimidating witnesses, of intimidating people. And, we don't want you to be involved in any of that. Some of the stuff that they seized in regards to the investigation, whenever they arrested him, all types of drug paraphernalia, they found weapons in the home, a lot of camera footage. They said terabytes and terabytes of camera footage of essentially like sexually deviant acts, because a large part of what he's being arrested for. I know people want to make the jokes of the freak offs and things like that, but whenever they unsealed those documents, how they were describing them were sick. This is a sexual deviant that was using his power and leverage and influence to essentially coerce people into health risk and sexual acts, whether that's to do drugs, to perform sex, to have sex for a long amount of, have sex with other people they didn't want to have sex with Diddy, um, for a long amounts of hours to the point to where they would need IVs the next day, right? And this is all under the guise of like, hey, he did it. And a lot of what they're alleging is that he used his influence of being Diddy, he used his money of being Diddy, he was paying me for that, and he just used pure intimidation of, man, this is what I do to people, you know. So it's a very sick man. You know, uh, from what they're saying, it's a very sick man. But I feel like if you have all those things against you, I feel like if you have all these people that are coming out against you, um, even if you did a fraction of what was said or what's alleged against you, you need to be under the jail. But how this frames into our topic is P Diddy was doing this. They're bringing stuff back since the 90s. It's 2024. You know, they was bringing stuff back since like 91. For 30 plus years, he's been getting away with this. For 30 plus years, he's just expressed signs of this kind of problematic behavior. For 30 plus years, he's been able to do essentially all these things that led to him getting locked up. And nobody checked him on that. Nobody, not even in the court of public opinion, a lot of people didn't leave a credence to it. Some people spoke out, but they were dismissed. But a lot of his peers, I mean, he was able to become a billionaire throughout that time. He's able to move up with his peers. A lot of people aligned themselves next to him. A lot of people, I'm sure you've seen everybody's pulling out which photo they had with Diddy. Now everybody wanted to go to the Diddy party. Every photos, videos, everybody connected with Diddy. He garnered so much power and influence throughout that time. And if you have these allegations that have been going on since that time, at least, well, you want to wonder, why is that? Why is it's just coming out now? Why is it just such a big deal now? Why do people feel so strongly about it now? And that kind of goes into the theme of watch what you worship. Now, not worship in the sense of churchy, but I think that how we view people of status, just as a general populace, especially in the entertainment space, I can speak for here in America, especially in the entertainment space, a lot of that is worship, man. That's some form of like idol worship, because something similar just happened. Something similar happened with R. Kelly, right? To the point where they had like video proof and evidence, and you can say it was things that are differently cultural, things that were culturally acceptable at the time, or whatever. That's kind of like our people turned a blind eye to it, or whatever. Man, he went to court for that. What R. Kelly did, messing with young women, him having a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old girl, him being married to Aaliyah and things like that. People kind of condoned it, whether it was knowledge or not. I mean, people still condoning it. You got people every day saying, "Oh, without you asking them, yeah, I still listen to R. Kelly, free R. Kelly, man, that's just time, blah 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 blah." Right? And I think a large part of that, of why R. Kelly finally was taken to justice, had nothing to do with, oh, we finally fucking got him. It was, he's no longer an asset to people. People care now, right? Whatever or whoever was protecting him, whoever was protecting him in the court of public opinion. Let's not even go legal wise. Let's just go into the court of public opinion, because that's not something that we can really measure. R. Kelly wasn't putting out records, right? R. Kelly wasn't putting out hits. And I think that finally happened to Diddy in this generation, in the court of public opinion. And don't get me wrong, I think the video is definitely super damning, especially in this day and age. But even without the video, as soon as the allegations came out against him, a lot of people was ready to like, yeah, he definitely did that. Even without necessarily having that, I call it pop culture, that hip hop history of knowing how vital Cassie was, some of stuff like that. It was like, yeah, he definitely did that. Somebody pop out and say that he definitely did that because he was at this point a legacy, and I think that a lot of value is put on celebrities is what they're doing in the current, right? How are you entertaining me in the current? Now, why do I speak about that? Is because a lot of people, how can I put this? A lot of people, now that he's being taken down, they're not viewing it as, I guess, a real court case, but kind of like, and I kind of blame true crime shows and Law and Order and shit like that for this. They're waiting to see what domino is gonna drop next. They're waiting to see the T that's coming up next. Who else is gonna fall? Who else is gonna be exposed? People are starting to name names. Like everybody on the internet is looking at. If you ever took a picture with P Diddy, I feel bad for you these next couple of weeks, these next couple of months, because everybody's about to come up with a theory of how you and Diddy was taking people with the baby oil and going to town. And so a name that's been thrown around a lot was Jay-Z. Like I said, they had the thing with TD Jakes. Before that, they had the thing with Meek Mill. If you ever look at any tweet regarding Meek Mill, they're asking about Diddy like a million times over. They're just waiting to see what falls. Joe Budden, he got a video of Joe Budden had a show on Revolt, which Diddy's own. So he went to Diddy probably was boss. People are trying to pin him on some stuff, and it's an old video, right? Like it's interesting of how deeply rooted that people would go to kind of, not saying that he doesn't need to fall, which he does, but to attach others with it because it might be a celebrity that you don't like. Or the flip side of the coin, the people that are going to defend it, like, no, they could never do that. They would never do that. Like I mentioned, Jay-Z. They're throwing his name out a lot. They're throwing his name out a lot because probably in hip hop, there's still alive. The most important person that has that kind of general public equity is next to Diddy is Jay-Z, right? Well, Jay-Z might have more, right? And that's also Jay-Z and Beyonce, right? And so people are like, nah, Hope will never do that. They're going to bat for everybody just want to see take a black man down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So people even saying that about Diddy. And that kind of goes into the worship piece of it of they're defending and going to bat for people that have no connection to them whatsoever. You don't even like or know these people. You like their product. You like what they can do for you. You like their image, right? They're entertainers. You like their entertainment, and whenever they stop entertaining you, then you can look at some of the sick stuff that they do, and you can judge it like human, right? Or if you don't like their entertainment, you'll be more inclined to want to see them fall, to dance on their grave. I'd say rather instead of just taking a sober view of it, right? Some people were shocked at what happened with Diddy. Some people are shocked that, not shocked, but now it's saying the whole Hollywood is dark, the Illuminati, the secret societies, whenever you get all this money, you're corrupted, and things like that in there. And I don't think it's necessarily that. I think they might have some kind of secret group of elites. We'll get into conspiracy podcast another day. But I think that for people to have, I guess, such polarizing experience or a polarizing view of whenever famous people do bad things or indicted, with heinous crimes or connected with horrible people or affiliated with horrible people. Oh, how could they do that? Maybe we were talking about like a couple of Diddy sons. It's like, oh, I'm surprised that Quincy is there. That hurts my heart that he would be affiliated. Like, man, that's his fucking dad. You know, like these are people that you don't know, and the key word is people. However you would judge a person, however you think that any person would act, the worst thing that you can think that the average person on the street would do, that's the same thing that a person with money can do, right? In fact, they might be able to do something even worse. And I think that's kind of where we get into a worship of money and status and fame. Malcolm X, I don't want to misquote the actual interview, but he said that in the black community, they're going to lead us towards our leaders having to be, um, we're going to put leadership positions on the entertainers, the comedians, and the musicians. And that's exactly what happened. You know, every time that something bad happens to somebody of entertainment or pop culture significance, especially in the black community, you see people all over having strong opinions of it. Things getting divisive, people creating think pieces, and not really pondering. It was just kind of like, well, it's just a messed up crime, right? It's just a horrible thing that happened. But for some reason, we're trained in our minds that we can't fathom that somebody of this magnitude, this power, this status, somebody who gave us great entertainment, who had a persona, a public facing persona, a character. Oh man, I can't believe that they'll ever do this. And my thing is like, why? Why could you not believe that they'll do this? Right? Um, man, it's it's really kind of sad when you think about it, because you know what so many people have gone into a celebrity worship, you know. And I'm not just talking about P Diddy now, but you know, Nicki Minaj has been speaking out because she has a beef with Jay-Z now, right? And then so you got the people that love Nicki Minaj, and then now they're like, "Yep, Jay-Z definitely did that." And here's XYZ. This is Jay-Z with Foxy Brown, and he was married. He was talking to Beyonce when he was 30 and she was 19, and X, Y, and Z, and they're going becoming super sleuths to try to take Jay-Z down in the court of public opinion. Then you have the opposite, people that don't like Nicki Minaj, people that like pretty much if you like any other female rapper, you probably aren't a Barb. So, oh, Nicki Minaj, her husband did this and her brother did this, and she's a druggie and all this other stuff. And this is like, man, like I don't think the adage of separating the art from the artist, I think that we are so far gone from that, you know, because I think now people have a vested interest in more so being right or being wrong. They don't want to be ever in their minds, they have aligned themselves with these celebrities, and whenever they do something that they wouldn't do, they couldn't fathom doing in their own character, and they find a celebrity doing that, they kind of not spiral, but it becomes a big deal. It becomes a big deal in their lives. People are saying that, oh, um, now all the black elites are gonna fall. This is open up a domino because they got all the footage. Who else is gonna get exposed and stuff like that? And I'm like, no, this not really. One guy did one bad thing, and if other people that you might know that are affiliated with it come out, then so be it. But right now, it's one guy did one bad thing. It's not this. This one guy did one bad thing, and this one guy just happened to his job just created some products that we like. I think that's the view that people need to take on it, right? So that's the end of the Diddy stuff. I'm talking about that for like 25 minutes, right? In line with I guess the other news has been going on the past couple of weeks. Um, that kind of stay in line with the theme of celebrity worship. Let's go into the Lil Wayne Super Bowl, man. And so this one, I'm very biased. Uh, Lil Wayne is my favorite rapper. Been my favorite rapper since a kid. I'm 26. Since I knew what rap was, Lil Wayne was my favorite. That's just that's just that, right? So every year, Lil Wayne can do the Super Bowl halftime show if you ask me. But this year he wasn't picked to do the Super Bowl halftime show. It was Kendrick Lamar. That's not really a shocker to anybody. Um, well, let me back up a little bit. The reason why Lil Wayne um, was such a name floating around for Super Bowl halftime show because it's in New Orleans. And no, this isn't the first Super Bowl in New Orleans, but this is Lil Wayne is in that legacy stage now. Um, all of the hot boys are free and on somewhat good terms, right? This is would have been perfect Super Bowl in New Orleans. You do Wayne in his legacy era. You have the hot boys out and free and moving around. I think that that just would have been perfect. But nobody could have expected what happened a few months ago with the whole Drake and Kendrick beef that popped off, and Kendrick putting out, being a part of two of the best rap songs of the year, like that and Not Like Us. So once Not Like Us came out, you could pretty much pencil him in for a Super Bowl bid, right? And so he got it. Congratulations, Kendrick Lamar. This sparked a lot of strong opinions about Lil Wayne, about Jay Z again, because Jay Z picks the act for the Super Bowl show, about Kendrick Lamar and about Drake. And I don't know about y'all, I'm tired of hearing about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. But this is what came up, so be it. So a lot of people like myself who saw kind of like the writing on the wall, just kind of like, oh, it would have been great. Wayne should have been Super Bowl. This is a travesty, etc., etc., etc. Right now, a bunch of people who are either Kendrick supporters or Drake haters or whatever you want to call it, they are saying that no way, Wayne couldn't have done the Super Bowl. Wayne don't have Super Bowl hits. Wayne don't just lying. Wayne definitely has the cachet, the catalog to do Super Bowl. He has the notoriety to do Super Bowl. But in fairness to them, he has been critiqued for his performances. Now, I saw Wayne in concert. I had a great time. It was a great performance. But they said in the past, he's been critiqued for his performances, not being good with his business in that realm. That's the rumor in there, right? So there could be some credence to that, but that's not why he wasn't picked over Kendrick Lamar in this Super Bowl. This was completely off the back of Not Like Us, and Kendrick fans are trying to not gaslight you, but they're trying to make it seem like, oh, Kendrick did all these other things. If I got to hear about his Pulitzer Award prize again, I'm gonna throw up. Nobody cares about that rap, bro. They just don't. We just don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's super impressive as a musician, as a black musician, and I think Kendrick's gonna put on an amazing show. He's but nobody nobody cares about his accolades and things like that. That's not why he was picked. He was picked because of Not Like Us. He's gonna go on stage and in front of the Super Bowl crowd and call Drake a pedophile. That's what it is, right? But it led to division, and not just strong opinions division. It led to people talking about the character, the artist. Of course, some of the jokes was there, and I'm never talking about the jokes whenever I'm having these discussions. Talking about people having, I guess, strong relationships or connections with celebrities that they don't know. I'm never talking about the jokes that come off, but people having legit arguments about who they are is people talking about, oh, Wayne is a drug addict that does X, Y, and Z, or oh, he had bad business. He should check with other people first. People was going at Nicki Minaj. Well, people weren't going to Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj went on a rant against Rock Nation. Jay-Z said it was some kind of conspiracy. I don't think it's some kind of conspiracy. I think it's pretty cut and dry. But it was like, oh, they just doing this because Drake lost, and I just don't like them, and blah 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 blah. All right, and that kind of led into that just kind of fueled the fire of, it's kind of like you're taking a stance because you don't like this person, so you're going so hard to the pendulum for the other side. None of y'all was gonna miss around and big steppers. And again, I'm not saying Kendrick shouldn't have gotten it, but I think the conversation got less about like how good Kendrick is as an artist or what type of performance Kendrick will put on, and it got into, oh, the Young Money team is bitter. Nicki Minaj is on this, and this. This is why I don't like them. This is why I don't like X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, man, you don't really know them. You have a vested interest, not even in the performance or in the music, but you just kind of, you're anti this person or anti their persona. It's almost like with wrestling, you have a heel. I think people have kind of taken that on to, they've attached some celebrities as a heel and some celebrities as the hero. So that was that. And I think that it kind of leads further from just celebrity, which is why I say be careful what you worship. It kind of goes into personality. I think that, or traits rather, right? I think people start to worship traits, idealism, things that we want to place on people rather than kind of looking at them for what they are, looking at a situation for what it is, or taking things at face value. It's like almost nobody can look at a sober mind because you have to invest some kind of emotion to it to come with a stance. Um, Probably the biggest decision of that is the presidential election in the United States. So we have Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. Um, you know, last time we did a hate that, I don't even think Kamala was announced as the Democratic candidate yet because Joe Biden dropped out of the race. But yeah, Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. She smoked him in that debate, by the way. But man, if this isn't the biggest example, these two in particular aren't the biggest example of I'm voting for who I like as an individual. I don't know what is. Now, I'm not gonna pretend to be like, I've read up on every political policy or whatever to to give a super political take. This isn't about that. This is more so looking at from what I see of why people are aligning themselves with Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. I've seen a lot of support for Kamala Harris because they are anti-Trump. I've seen a lot of support for Donald Trump because he says things to posture you against Kamala Harris. He says things to invoke emotion about things that he feels that you should carry about. In America, it's a lot of foundation on traditionalist Christian values. So Kamala Harris, a woman who doesn't have children, they're gonna play at that angle. They play at that angle a lot. It's like, oh, she doesn't have a family, right? That's gonna get a certain crowd riled up. She's already a black woman. That already has a certain crowd riled up. So I think that it's he's gonna posture himself to essentially just a whole lot of marketing. He's gonna posture himself to appeal to a certain brand of people. On the flip side, she is posturing not necessarily anti-Trump, but she's a black woman. She's an HBCU alum. She's in a sorority. She's gonna get you with the one-liners and the faces and the entertainers, the celebrity, the pop culture. She's gonna speak for the youth, right? A lot of people are making this decision off of who they like as an individual more. Who's saying the things that they agree with, they align with, right? Now, some people have this is actually a positive that's come out of, I guess it's big of a spectacle as the elections have been in the past 8 years or so. A lot of people have been more invested into the political process. So I'm not about to take that away from just saying like the majority are not caring, but it's it's a very loud group of people who are just going purely off of, okay, well, I'm I'm black, so I'm gonna vote for Kamala because she's black and she brought Megan Thee Stallion out and she said a one liner from Quavo. A lot of that stuff is corny to me, right? Now, I'm voting for Kamala. I'm not gonna say my reasons why, but I am. Um, but some of the performative stuff, which I mean, presidents have done for decades, you know, it's just corny to me. Some of the people that are voting for Donald Trump, it's a lot of head assery that comes with that, and I think it's because they are worshiping Trump, the man, or more so listening to the message and not looking at a policy, not looking at a law, not looking at anybody he aligned himself with in terms of his political party. And it's becoming like almost a worship of him. Like MAGA is almost a religion. Taylor Swift came out and endorsed Kamala Harris, and Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever basketball player, who has been like she's been at the forefront of some racial controversy herself. She liked the post, and all of her, not all of her, a large bunch of her followers, a large part of Caitlin Clark fans are saying that I can't rock with Caitlin anymore because of X, Y, and Z. How dare she go against Trump? Blah 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 blah. Right? She was like the Taylor Swift post, and she was saying, and all she said was she just has a big platform, encourage people to go do their research and vote, as you should. Everybody do your research and vote for which candidate you think helps you. But they started harassing her and for like just in the name of Donald Trump. Donald Trump don't have nothing to do with basketball, man. Like you don't have nothing to do with basketball. That doesn't lead credence to that. But why do you care so much? Why were you so invested in Caitlin Clark's political affiliation? Because to my knowledge, she hasn't led anything about her personal life. I really don't know anything about her other than what she does for a living and where she went to college. So why are you that invested? It's because she's a celebrity, and in some aspect, you worship her. She's probably they would call her the Great White Hope for women's basketball, and a group of people have aligned themselves to her for that because of what she bought entertainment wise as her product. For Donald Trump, a group of people are aligned themselves to Donald Trump because he gets up on the stage and evokes emotion out of you. You know, I mean, the dude is charismatic. You can rile up a lot of people like that. Like in as long as I've been alive, I've seen uh, Bush versus Gore, Obama versus McCain, Obama versus Romney, and Biden and Trump, Trump and blanking on the name, Clinton, Trump and Clinton, Trump, Biden, and now Trump and Harris. Right. Every election that Donald Trump has been in, it's never been no more of a spectacle, um, no more of a show, rather than just political discourse. Right now, when Obama was elected the first term, um, because we were on the verge of having our first black president, it was a big deal. But in the second term, it kind of went back to what politics have always, you know, been political, educational, uh, you know, CNN-ish. That's the best way I could describe it. CNN-ish. Now it's fucking TMZ-ish. It's almost silly of how these elections go, and a large part of that came from Donald Trump. It's entertaining. It's wrestling. It's wrestling, and I think there's almost no difference between being a fan. If you're a fan of an individual, then I think that is where it becomes worship. If you're a fan of what they do, I think that's pretty standard. That's pretty normal, right? I like M. Night Shyamalan's movies. I don't know M. Night Shyamalan from a can of paint. So that isn't like if he was to come out and do something, I wouldn't be like, what? Can't believe that he would do that. No, it's no. I don't know him from a can of paint, right? I think that people, especially with the internet, are these celebrities, which that's what Donald Trump is. He's a celebrity, are posturing themselves to make you fans of them, the individual. And I think that how he carries himself is to attract a certain type of fan of an individual, which kind of which not kind of, it leads into worship. A lot of people storm the Capitol in the name of this man, and that's a sense of worship. And I think that whenever you do that, I don't think you realize how you look. I don't think you realize the ramifications that come from that. It can lead to not just ramifications in your family life, but your professional life, alienating your family, your view on how you represent yourself. I have a friend who is super MAGA, who is like pro MAGA, pro Trump, and the things that he says. And he's still my friend, don't get me wrong. But there are just ways and views that I can't even fathom to look at him the same anymore. And it's because he worships this man, he worships people like him, to it leads to some of the things that he says being just fucking ridiculous. Right? Elon Musk. Donald Trump had two assassination attempts on him, or an assassination attempt and a bomb threat in the last 3 weeks. Elon Musk, owner of Twitter, the pretty much the largest platform of spreading information, hopped on Twitter and said, "Oh, strange," but he's fully aligned with Trump and MAGA and anti-Biden Harris. But he said, strange. Nobody's trying to assassinate Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I'm pretty sure that's a crime, one. But do you know how wild that is? You know how wild that is to say that, oh, wow, somebody tried to assassinate my guy. One, nobody should be trying to assassinate anybody. But wow, somebody tried to assassinate my guy. Well, why aren't they doing it to the other side? They're trying to make it seem a way, or that should happen too. Like, bro, you just essentially called for assassination from the acting president and vice president because you fuck with this dude so much. That's insane. That's a level of worship. That means that something's taken a hold of you, bro. Like, and from the NIT pod to IMS to Hey Jai, whatever, the motto has always been think for yourself, have your own vision, have your own way of doing things. But I think that we're in such an age of sheep, online, in real life, and conversation. I think we're in such an age of sheep to where it's gone into not even just being a fan of things anymore. It's worshiping these things. It's not being able to function without these things, without these people, without we put these people on such a pedestal because of what they have, because we see them, we give them influence. I did a video about influence and the power of it. I did an interview, a conversation with Dr. Johnny Young about it, about the influence, and we're giving them this influence because really in actuality it's worshiping them, right? And then you gotta think about, like, why are we worshiping them? Are we worshiping them because of who they are we worshiping them because of they're famous, because they're rich? The term black excellence gets thrown around and attached to a lot of celebrities in the black community. And then we got to think why. Like, what are they doing that's so excellent? A couple of years ago, people was definitely calling PDD black excellence. And whenever they had their speech at that Rock Nation brunch, where everybody was around, it was like, oh, yeah, it's black excellence. Jay-Z and Beyonce, black excellence. Will and Jada, black excellence, and stuff like that. And we don't know these people from a can of paint. And everybody, except for Jay-Z and Beyonce, since that time, has had some kind of scandal, something where it's kind of like, yeah, I don't want to fuck with these people. Right? I think the term for excellence, black excellence, or just excellence in general, it should be held to a different standard outside of somebody gaining X amount of dollars, X amount of fame, finance. There's a level of integrity that you can't buy. There's no integrity that you can't buy. There's no, you know, uh, contrary to popular belief, bad people live easy lives. They can. Just because you're a bad person or a sick person or a fucked up person doesn't mean that, oh, the world is just gonna not work out in your favor. Bad people get away with shit all the time. That's just the breaks. Where somebody is in life or where their status in life does not constitute them to have the title of excellence, does not automatically put them on the pedestal of a good person, a good human being, a decent human being, that they were raised right, uh that they're blessed, that they deserve everything that they have. Because sometimes the cookie just breaks that way. A lot of horrible people are probably running around with more money than a lot of good people. It just happens. You know, sometimes bad people get opportunities. Opportunities don't risk. Opportunities and wealth aren't associated with a moral compass. It's associated with preparation, luck, and hard work. So that little combo of the three, and that just kind of gives you the chance to be where those people are in life. You can enjoy the products, you can enjoy the character that these people put on, but until you truly know somebody, can you really put them on a pedestal? Can you really put them in a moral compass or high ground, or put them in a state to where they can't compromise how you feel about them? They can't really compromise, and they can't perform an action that you can't fathom, right? Can you really judge that from afar with somebody? I'm sure we want to give everybody the same ground level of, human decency, but at the same time, you got to open up the possibility that it's not a lot of decent people out here, you know. And why do we allow people to get away with that? Puff was able to do what he did for 30 years. Why? Was some of it because people feared him? Absolutely. I think a lot of it, though, was because people worshiped him. They saw him be at a place where they wanted to be. They saw him have access to resources that they did not have. They saw him have access to fame that he didn't have. They saw him pull women that they couldn't pull. They saw him walk indoors that they could only dream of walking indoors. So guess what? So even if I see him doing this fucked up thing here, this fucked up thing there, I'm gonna still stay around him. I'm gonna still turn my head because he might notice that. He might remember that you know, he might hold it down. I'm gonna hold it down so he can see that I'm thorough and I can hold it down too. So he might break me off something. Hell, Shine said it. Whenever they questioned him about it, it was just like, man, so why were you know, you saying he did this and then Shine said, man, this dude ruined my life. But I went and sat in that jail cell and I went and did the shows and the concerts with him because it was business. What he was doing, he would donate money to the country of Belize. He would donate to help my country, to help my people. And I had to turn a blind eye to stuff. And I think that was a lot of people's case. Cassie suffered through that abusive relationship for a long time. There are plenty of people that go through bad and abusive relationships with lesser people than P. Diddy. Cassie was a 19-year-old girl whenever she met Diddy. Got exposed to a world that people could only dream of. I'm sure she took a lot to just kind of be like, well, maybe it might work out in the end for me. So you just can't take no more, man. So you got to be careful of what you worship, not necessarily who. That's why I say what. Watch what you worship, because whenever you worship money, you'll always be ruled by money. Whenever you worship money, you'll always be ruled by people with money. Whenever you worship fame, famous people always rule you. They'll rule your mind. They'll rule your heart. They'll rule your emotion. You got to be careful what you put on the pedestal. You got to be putting what you value. You worship religion, you'll let the church get by with a lot of stuff. You worship the government. You worship these politicians. You'll discount a lot of the things that they do. Um, it's not funny, but Family Guy had a spoof episode about Donald Trump, and Trump put Peter Griffin in his position in the White House, right? And Peter was super pro Trump, pro Trump, pro Trump, pro Trump, and they were just highlighting all the bad things that Trump was doing, right? Until um, Trump saw Meg, and then he grabbed her by the right, which that's what like one of his that was like a big thing that popped out with this first campaign. He was like, I just like to grab him by the right, and so that's whenever Peter, he was like, oh no, that's my daughter. When he, they had like the little Family Guy comedic fight, you know, Peter fighting Donald Trump or whatever. It's a spoof. It was supposed to be a joke, but it's kind of a reflection of how you look at life, man. Like, a lot of these things that we put on people, or a lot of things that people have that we, I say worship, but honestly, it's some level of envy. Um, we excuse other behaviors because they have access to these things, you know. And this isn't something that just adults do. This isn't something that people have just started doing on social media. This is something that's going on since the beginning of time. It starts in like grade school, man. Like in grade school, we all knew the funny kid in the class that was popular with people. I'm pretty sure they know that they can get away with certain stuff with the teachers because they were just, you know, they were just popular. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna give you a warning, but somebody else do it, they probably get in trouble too. And that's because that's typically how people, I guess, people with certain traits, um, we hold them, we don't hold them as accountable to all actions. Rick and Morty said, or Rick and Morty, Rick said that popular people are dumb because there is no value in being smart early. It's not interesting. Being smart doesn't make you likable early. So that's why popular people are dumb, because it's better to be entertaining. And yeah, I think that's kind of, not saying that everybody popular is dumb or anything like that, but that's kind of like the crux of it, you know. We excuse a lot from people. We have a high, we put people in a high character. We you give them boxes checked. If they check the one big box of they're rich, so we're gonna put them in the smart category too. If somebody makes a lot of money, we're gonna automatically think they're smart, because how are you not smart enough to make X amount of money? So we're gonna put them in the smart category too. We're gonna put them in the good networking category too. So that means they know how to talk to people. It means they know how to treat people. We're also probably gonna put them in the hardworking category because, hey, everybody got the same 24 hours, right? So there's 4 boxes checked, but the only things you know about them have a lot of money. So, hey man, be careful what you worship. This has been it's been good to do a Hey Jai episode. It was a little rough. It's been a while since I've just been solo talking for an hour, but happy to be back and do it. So this video is gonna go out probably Saturday night, if not Sunday morning. You'll see it. But regular Hey Jai uploads every Thursday coming in. Check us out on, you can check clips and reels from the show on IMS Productions 2023 on Instagram, and our YouTube, IMS Studios, where you can catch Hey Jai from the couch, clips from the Just in Time Sports podcast After Dark, and clips from Nerdology. So I'm Jai, and I'm out.